So my name's Stephanie Fosh. I'm the Managing Director of Pure Human Resources, and today we're talking about managing and recording absenteeism. Well, it's really difficult to manage absence if you don't actually know the magnitude of what you're dealing with. And that could be that it's a really positive situation and you have really good attendance at work, or actually you may have pockets of issues, or you may have absence that's really, really high when compared to other industries. Well, when we talk about absences, it can be all sorts. So holiday is technically an absence, but it's an authorised absence. So you need to make sure that your holiday records are there so that people are getting sufficient holiday to make sure they're having a rest, not taking too much, and obviously upsetting other employees because they're taking disproportionately too much. But likewise, if you've got regular sickness issues, you may find that you've got the Mondays or Fridays after a bank holiday attached to periods of holiday. It might be that you've got somebody who's off really long-term sick. You need to obviously keep it for payroll records, compliance with HMRC, as well as just seeing how often somebody's attending work, because at the end of the day, as an employer, you're perfectly entitled to encourage your employees to attend work on a reasonable basis. Well, there's lots of software out there that makes life really simple. Software solutions that have employee reporting, for instance, apps on phones. There's lots that we can recommend. We're a Breathe partner, for instance, whereby we really like it as a system. People can book their holiday. It's got a holiday calendar. You can see who already is off. You can restrict certain times of the year. Same with sickness absence. A manager can go in and report an absence at the beginning. For instance, if it's going to be a 2-week period, or if it's individual days, then the employee can report it. So there's lots of flexibilities and lots of easy solutions that aren't admin heavy. So obviously statutory sick pay is a requirement, and statutory sick pay cuts in on day 4 of absence. There's lots of rules. It's known and familiar to most payroll departments, but obviously you do need to keep records accordingly. So for instance, somebody's entitled to 28 weeks of statutory sick pay, and if you haven't got your recording date at the beginning sorted, then obviously your records are going to be out for the whole period of absence. That's quite easy. We always suggest it's really good to have a policy on trigger point systems. So there's various solutions out there. Bradford Factor, for instance, is really famous, kind of in the HR line management world. I'm not a fan. I prefer trigger point system personally, but both work. And they look at each individual and say, well, how much absence have you had in the last 12 months? And that could be you've had very little absence, great. It could be that you've had 1 or 2 long periods of absence, in which case there's an underlying condition, and you might need to make referrals to occupational health and understand a bit more about the person's condition. And they may even have a disability, again, of which there's some liability you need to understand. Or you may have lots and lots of periods of short-term absence, in which case, again, is there a theme? Are they providing different reasons? Do you need to make a referral to occupational health here to find out whether there's something issue? Or are they actually just taking quite a significant amount of time off work, and it's unreasonable for you as the employer to tolerate that kind of level? So there's lots of levels. The important point is that you probably have some way of recording data in the first place, so it's finding a solution that works for you as a business. Ideally, you'd have make sure your contracts of employment are up to date in terms of requirements on individuals. So do you require the person to ring in and speak to somebody on day 1 of absence? Again, making sure you've got a policy that says how you're going to manage and record absence, so you're GDPR compliant, but you also set out your expectation with the employer that says, for instance, we have a trigger point system and we'll start reviewing things with you when you get to X quantity of absenteeism in the year. Return to work interviews are really important. If nothing else, just making sure the person's fit and healthy to be back to work and you've got no risk from a health and safety perspective, but also it just highlights to the individual if their absence is getting slightly high, that you're on the radar. And then, if you need to go as far as doing some attendance review procedures and carrying out action to the individual, highlighting formally that their attendance levels are just not acceptable, then we can obviously support in that as well.